Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are stepping into the highly mathematical, fascinating world of Vedic astrology to decode Chapter 16 of the Brihat Parsara Horasastra. Think of this ancient text as literally the ultimate architectural blueprint of human destiny. We're going to explore the precise cosmic collisions that dictate human progeny, adoption, and the continuation of your entire lineage. Let's dive in. So this is Sage Parashara, the revered ancient architect of Jyotish, which translates to the science of light. Now, what makes Parashara such an absolute genius is his mathematical precision. He didn't just look up at the night sky and guess. No way. He mapped human destiny using incredibly rigorous geometry. In Chapter 16, we're bypassing general planetary rules entirely to focus exclusively on specific, pinpointed cosmic collisions that govern family building. We're talking precise degrees, specific houses, and unique planetary alignments that trigger monumental life events. Okay, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start by decoding the fifth house, move right into multi-parent alignments and adoption yogas, analyze indicators of abundant progeny and character, and finally, we'll calculate the exact timing of childbirth. All right, Section 1, decoding the fifth house, which is really our foundational map for all of this. The geometry of the birth chart is absolutely key here. In the traditional North Indian Kundali, which is essentially a diamond-shaped map of the heavens frozen at the exact moment of your birth, the fifth house is marked Sut, meaning progeny. If you count counterclockwise from that top central diamond, which is the ascendant, this specific 30-degree arc is the astronomical epicenter for all calculations related to children, intellect, and lineage in this chapter. Literally every shloka we're going to discuss revolves around the energetic condition of this exact pocket of the sky. But right out of the gate, Saj Parashara hits us with a critical caveat involving Mandi, sometimes called Gulika. Now, Mandi is not a physical planet. It's a calculated mathematical point, kind of like a shadow satellite, that carries this restrictive, highly concentrated malefic energy. If Mandi casts its optical gaze onto the fifth house, it severely afflicts it. And this is especially true if you're an Aquarius, Taurus, Virgo, or Libra ascendant. For these specific rising signs, even if a mighty planet like Saturn is trying to support the fifth house, Mandi's mathematical interference acts like a massive cosmic roadblock. This interference can potentially lead a native to seek adoption rather than having biological children. Moving on to Section 2, multi-parent alignments and non-traditional families. A really fascinating point is found right in Shloka 10, which details a profound Dvigraha, or two-planet combination. It states, should the sun and the moon be together in a Rasi and in the same Navamsa, the native will be brought up by three mothers or two fathers. So, what does that actually mean in simple English? Well, if the two great luminaries of our solar system share the exact same cosmic coordinates, the child will be raised by multiple parental figures. Let's break this down, because the astronomical requirement here is incredibly strict. The sun and moon must not only be conjunct in the same 30-degree Rashi, but they have to lock into the exact same Navamsa. A Navamsa is a tiny micro-division of just 3 degrees and 20 minutes. When the sun and moon are trapped in this tiny, intense sliver of space, it mathematically indicates an early loss or shift of a parental figure. But the true brilliance of this ancient text is how it perfectly applies to our modern world. The child isn't left abandoned. The family expands. This mathematically describes modern blended families, step-parents, or communal rearing with multiple mothers or fathers. It's a real game changer when you think about it. Let's look at Section 3, Yogas for Adopted Children and the planetary physics behind them. Shloka 11 illustrates some pretty extreme mathematical conditions. First, the fifth house has to be tenanted by exactly 6 planets. Imagine the astronomical traffic jam of 6 massive celestial bodies crowding into a single 30-degree arc. It creates an overwhelming concentration of energy. Second, the biological link, which is the fifth lord, is exiled to the 12th house. That's the house of loss, isolation, and foreign elements. So biologically, the energy is drained out. But here is the crucial part. The ascendant, representing the self, and the moon, representing the heart, remain incredibly strong. So the person has this massive capacity and love to raise a child. And because the biological link is displaced, an adopted child becomes their meant-to-be path to family expansion. And Shloka 15 takes this even further, detailing the precise geometry for raising a child born of another's loins. This requires a really strict astronomical triangulation. Step 1. The moon is placed exactly in the 8th house from the ascendant, the realm of sudden changes and hidden things. Step 2. Jupiter, the ultimate significator of children, must be placed exactly 9 houses from that moon. Step 3. This specific geometry must be triggered by a hard malefic influence, like Saturn or Mars aspecting the combination. When you see this exact triangulation occur, the text definitively points to a life path of raising a child that is not biologically one's own. All right, Section 4, Indicators of Abundant Progeny. Let's see what happens when the energy is unobstructed. So when does the family tree really blossom? Shloka 16 provides the mathematical guarantees for childbirth. Literally, any one of these 3 independent states will ensure progeny. First, the 5th lord is at its absolute peak degree of exaltation. Second, it's placed in the auspicious 2nd, 5th, or 9th houses. Or third, it is bathed in the divine gaze of Jupiter. Jupiter is the Karaka, right? The universal significator of children. So its physical conjunction or aspect mathematically guarantees the expansion of the family tree. Now, Shloka 12 explains the compounding effect of benefic planets through a powerful trigrahi, or 3-planet influence. We're not just talking about having one child here, but many. If the 5th house receives the optical rays of Mercury, which represents youthful multiplication, Jupiter representing divine expansion, and Venus representing passion and creation, this triple aspect creates an astronomical environment of just immense fertility and abundant progeny. Section 5, Character and Mean Deeds. This is where we get into a qualitative analysis of the children. You know, astrology isn't all sunshine and rainbows. While benefic aspects create a joyful lineage, Shloka 17 outlines a severe astronomical condition on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. If a birth chart has a heavy cluster of 3 to 4 malefic planets, we're talking the Sun, Mars, Saturn, or Rahu, just occupying the 5th house, while its lord is at its absolute weakest mathematical point, it completely locks out any gentle benefic rays. The text warns us that offspring produced under this harsh geometry might be prone to indulging in problematic or mean deeds. This clearly signals a life path where the parents are going to have to step up and provide immense, patient guidance. Finally, Section 6. This is what everyone always wants to know. Calculating the exact timing of childbirth. To really understand timing, you've got to view the 360-degree zodiac not just as a flat map of space, but as a giant, ticking cosmic clock. As the planets continuously transit through the sky, they form dynamic, geometric angles with your static birth placements. And Chapter 16 gives us the exact mathematical equations that act like keys, unlocking the 5th house at very, very specific years of your life. Let's run the numbers on this timeline. According to Shloka 19, the cosmic clock strikes at the exact age of 30 or 36 if your 5th lord is placed in an angular house alongside Jupiter. Moving to Shloka 18, if your 5th house is physically occupied by Jupiter, while the 5th lord sits with Venus, the geometry dictates you'll obtain an offspring in your 32nd or 33rd year. And look at the precision of Shloka 20. If Jupiter sits exactly in the 9th house from the ascendant, while Venus sits 9 houses away from Jupiter, and is joined by the ascendant lord, this incredibly complex, 3-step planetary alignment predictably calculates the birth of a child at the mature age of 40. I mean, that is just the staggering mathematical beauty of the Brihatparasara Horasasta. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive today. We've logically mapped the 5th house, moving from the rules that govern non-traditional families and adoption, all the way down to the exact predictive calculations for the timing of childbirth. It is literally a masterclass in ancient cosmic mathematics. But it leaves us with a pretty profound question. If Chapter 16 can so precisely decode the complex mathematics of our lineage, what other secrets of your destiny are just waiting to be decoded in the chapters ahead? Keep this cosmic framework fresh in your mind, because we're going to be exploring exactly that in our next explainer. Keep observing the skies, and thanks so much for joining me today.